She was crouched beneath the comms tower again, half buried in a tangle of wires no one else wanted to touch. The morning sun hit the metal panels overhead, turning the air hot and metallic. Most people on base walked past her without a second glance. To them she was just the comms girl, the quiet tech who fixed their radios when they drowned them, dropped them, or accidentally used them as hammers. She never corrected them. She didn't need to. A spark snapped near her fingertips. She didn't flinch. "You blow on me again, I'm sending you back to supply," she muttered to the panel like it was a stubborn recruit. With a twist of the wrist, she linked the final connection, and the dead screen flickered to life, pulsing green. Boots crunched behind her, 3 pairs. She recognized the clumsy rhythm of 2 Marines and the lazy stride of Corporal Drake, who treated teasing like it was part of his job description. "There she is," Drake said loudly, the miracle mechanic herself. "Hey Sparks, think you can fix my ego next? It's been damaged since birth." She didn't turn around. "Some things are beyond repair." "Ouch," one of the Marines laughed. "She got you." Drake stepped closer, peering over her shoulder like he understood anything she was doing. "You know, if you ever want to upgrade to real Marine work." She slid out from under the tower, dust smeared across her cheek, hair tied back loosely, eyes calm and sharp. "Drake, last week you tried to charge a battery with a spoon. Okay, that was 1 time. And you caused a blackout on half the base. That was fine, 2 times. The Marines burst into laughter. She grabbed her kit and walked past him before he could try for a comeback. The base was loud as usual, rotor blades in the distance, heavy crates dropping onto concrete, shouted orders mixing with engine growls. She moved through it with the ease of someone who saw more than she said but never asked for attention. People knew her as Mia Hartley. They didn't know much else. That was the point. Inside the communications annex, she dropped her toolkit on the bench and powered up the repaired system. Lines of encrypted data scrolled smoothly, perfect. For the first time in days, every channel was stable. She allowed herself a small, quiet smile. Then the alarms blared. Not emergency alarms, transport arrival alarms. Someone important was landing. Everyone on base moved like ants, suddenly aware of the Queen's approach. She watched through the window as a Navy helicopter touched down, dust spiraling. A group of SEALs stepped out, heavy gear slung over their shoulders. At the front was a tall officer wearing mirrored sunglasses, his posture too sharp, too controlled. Lieutenant Commander Ethan Ward. She stiffened before she meant to. He scanned the base with a predatory calm, the kind only men trained to walk into fire possessed. He was here for the joint operation exercise, she guessed. Nothing unusual. SEALs came and went, but he wasn't looking at the briefing tent or the waiting Marines. He was looking straight at her. Her pulse kicked once, annoyed at itself. He walked toward the comms annex. Not fast, not slow, purposeful. Great. Last thing she needed was a SEAL officer asking why his radio didn't connect to the satellite fast enough. She stepped outside, arms crossed. "If you're here about gear, I'm off duty. You'll have to." Lieutenant Commander Ward stopped in front of her, his shadow cutting across the ground. Then, to everyone's shock, Marines, techs, passing pilots. He saluted her. A sharp, perfect, formal salute. The entire base froze. Drake, walking past with a protein bar, choked on air. "Wait, what?" Mia didn't move at first. Her jaw clenched. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Lieutenant Commander," she said softly. Ward lowered his hand, expression unreadable. "Ma'am." A ripple of whispers rolled across the yard like wind. "Ma'am." Drake mouthed the word like it had personally offended him. She exhaled once through her nose, almost irritated. "You weren't supposed to do that. You outranked me," he said simply. "No one here needs to know that." "They do now," he replied, loud enough for the nearby Marines to hear. A dozen heads snapped toward her. A few stared like they'd been hit with flashbangs. Mia Hartley, the quiet comms technician, outranked a SEAL lieutenant commander. Ward took off his sunglasses, revealing sharp gray eyes that missed nothing. "Base protocol requires I report to the senior officer present." "That's you." Drake looked like his soul left his body. One of the Marines whispered, "Who the hell is she?" Ward answered without being asked. Her real designation is Captain Amelia Hartley, Joint Cyber Warfare Command, Special Operations Liaison. Highest field-ranked officer on this base. Her eyes flicked dangerously. Are you done exposing things you shouldn't be saying out loud? Ward didn't blink. They deserve to know who's been running half their security infrastructure without credit. Her silence carried more weight than a shout could. The ground felt too loud, the sun too bright. A captain, a special operations liaison, the person who quietly stabilized every comm line, intercepted every threat before it became one. She preferred being invisible. She worked better in the shadows. But Ward, apparently, had other ideas. He stepped closer, voice low enough only she could hear. You think staying hidden makes the job easier? It doesn't. It makes everyone underestimate the person keeping them alive. She shot him a flat look. I don't need recognition. Maybe not. But the base needs leadership. Real leadership. And that's you. A beat. The wind kicked dust between them. Why now? She asked quietly. Because, he said, almost smiling, the exercise starts tonight. And your team won't trust you in the field if they think you're just the girl who fixes radios. She sighed, rubbing her forehead. You always did have terrible timing. You always did pretend to be smaller than you are. Before she could respond, the base commander rushed over, stopping abruptly when he saw Mia. Captain Hartley. Ma'am, apologies, I didn't realize. She raised a hand. It's fine. It was intentional. Ward interjected, not anymore. The commander swallowed. Ma'am, your presence is requested at the operations hub for mission brief. Drake and the others stepped aside like the ground was sacred. Mia glanced at Ward. You just made things complicated. Ward smiled faintly. I prefer to call it accurate. She rolled her eyes but couldn't suppress the small, reluctant smirk pulling at her mouth. She picked up her toolkit, her disguise, and handed it to a stunned Marine. Take care of that, she said casually. He nodded so fast his helmet slipped. Mia walked toward the operations hub, the entire base turning to watch the woman they thought they knew. Ward followed a pace behind, respectful, formal. People stared, whispered, stood straighter. Mia felt the weight of their eyes but didn't let it change her stride. She had avoided the spotlight for years, staying quiet, fixing problems no one recognized needed fixing. But now the truth was out. And as she entered the hub, screens lighting up at her arrival, she realized something she hadn't in a long time. Maybe it was time to stop hiding. Maybe it was time to lead. Ward saluted again from behind her. This time, she returned it.